Hello, Kryssie. Delighted to be chatting with you. Myself and Steve Evans here.
Hi, great to link up.
Hi, Kryssie. Good to make your acquaintance. Finally, I've heard a bit about you from Terry, and I believe
I was incompetent.
No.
Well, he has mentioned something about your technical abilities, but we won't go into that. No, all seriousness. You're in Bridlington. Has it been sunny there today? And is it?
It's been pouring down.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Oh, we've had a pleasant day today, really.
Yeah.
I think looking at the clouds out there now, we're about to get some rain, but hopefully.
Well, we've had it on and off most of the day, but normally we don't. Normally Bridlington misses the bad weather. It must be just where we are.
Yeah. And of course, from tonight, clocks go back. We're looking forward to longer nights. No, they don't. They go forward.
Spring forward, isn't it? Fall back.
Yeah,
it's always forward.
Lose an hour then tonight.
Yeah. I never class it as losing an hour.
It'll be longer days, won't it?
As much as me.
Yeah. So, Kryssie, besides writing, tell us what you do to relax. I've seen a couple of the pictures you put on Facebook, long walks in Scarborough Castle.
Oh, well, we're members of English Heritage, so we go to a lot of historic sites. Most are Hadrian's Wall, which we love. But yeah, we go to Scarborough Castle, which is also an English Heritage site. And I love Whitby, but obviously I write vampire romance, of course I love Whitby.
Did Bram Stoker, he wrote that there, didn't he, I think, in Whitby?
He did.
Yeah.
Or it inspired him, the view from the guest house across to the Abbey. It's where he imagined the dog coming ashore.
Yeah. Didn't he get the name from there, from a library in Whitby Library, the name Dracula?
Well, you wouldn't have from me then, because I had no idea.
Yeah, funny enough, I was reading about him yesterday on another context.
Dracula experience on the quayside there, but I'm too scared to go in it. I got trapped in a Doctor Who exhibition by a Dalek once. There's no way I was going past that Dalek in case it came and moved. And my husband had to come back for me and drag me through.
Was he exterminated?
Well, it would have been if he hadn't come back for me.
Do you manage to get round to many of the heritage sites throughout the UK then, or do you stick locally in your own area? Or
there's not very many in Bridlington, but we try and get away when we can and get to them. Whenever we go on holiday, it's one of our pleasures to visit historic sites, and I often get a lot of inspiration from them.
Right. Okay.
When you go to Scarborough Castle, there's an underground building, and they don't really know what it was. But in my book, One Night Stand, it becomes a Mithranium, which is an ancient Roman god they worshipped in underground chambers.
And speaking
of that's a bit
books,
technical.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking of books, these chats we have are normally fairly straightforward, but we're looking at different books to pick from to speak about, and it's difficult because you've got that many.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know where to start. So I'm thinking maybe we should start with your first and then your latest novel or something like that. Yeah. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, that's a great plan, Steve. Yeah, like it.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about them. They look quite raunchy.
They are quite raunchy, and they get raunchy as you go through them. I started off writing without any raunch, and I couldn't get a publisher at all. Yeah. And as soon as I put some raunch in, Loose ID picked up my first book. And I need an editor because I'm dyslexic. So I needed somebody. I mean, I do proofread it, and I use all the computers checking programs, and my husband proofreads it, but I don't see things. And anybody who looks at my Twitter account will know I don't see what I've typed wrong.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
But my first book, it was inspired by my son's wedding. I wanted to, I've just broken my necklace.
What's it?
I wanted to write about a wedding, and I thought, well, what if the groom's a vampire? And why would she not want to marry him? So I kind of worked a backstory from there. And halfway through, I thought, this is going nowhere. So I put in the biggest twist I could think of.
That's brilliant.
Which a lot of readers have appreciated. Looking back on it, I want to go and rewrite it because I think it shows that I wasn't a very experienced writer. But it's the time it takes.
Yeah.
And I'd rather write something fresh.
I mean, you're saying there about as soon as you turned it into a bit of raunchiness, if you like, you got a publisher. Did you have to try at length before that when you with your first book to try and get a published and it didn't work? So then you switched to raunch, or did you get some advice from somewhere to do that? Or
I was the kid that always said I'd write a book one day,
right,
and I never did until my husband went to work in Germany, and I had a go at writing a book, and it was awful. There's no two ways about it. And then I saw this advert in the paper, so you want to be a writer, and it was Writers Bureau. And I kept looking at it. I think it's a rip-off. I'm not paying them money. I either can write or I can't. And when Alan got home, he got so sick of me looking at this advert that he signed me up. And it says, oh, within 6 months, you'll make your money back. Well, I did, plus enough to pay for a few days away for the pair of us. But that was writing fiction. It was writing non-fiction, which wasn't what I wanted to write. But it proved I could write. And I think that was the important thing. And after that, there was a long pause before I got anything published in book form. I had a couple of short stories in magazines, but nothing in a book till 2010, I think. And then when Loose ID picked me up, I remember sitting at the computer screaming when their email came through. And my husband thought I'd hurt myself. But I was just so thrilled. And I still am every time I get a book published.
How many is it now, Kryssie? Is it 18? I think I counted on Amazon.
18, I had to count before I came and talked to you. And it's odd, I don't remember them individually, but if somebody asks me what's in one, then I can remember it.
Okay.
So they've all got a domination, hot romance theme to them, but with paranormal in them, or are they all slightly
They're not
different?
all paranormal.
Right.
When I was working with Loose ID, they had a challenge to write 3 linked novellas. And at the time, I was reading some Cora Seaton books, which are set in North, I'm not quite sure where they're set, but they're about soldiers who've come home, and I wanted to write something similar. So I came up with 3 short stories about them that are all in the same place, but not the same pair. So each one would stand alone, but together they make a set.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I noticed you said about all your books are standalone, which I was quite interested in. And then you also, I was going to ask where the military part comes from in it as well, because like you seem to combine romance, dominance, paranormal, and military. And well, obviously it's not all in the same book because there's.
I'm going to say not all at once. I write for pleasure, so I write how the mood takes me.
Right.
And if I want to write a story, that's what happens. During lockdown, I wrote a children's story, which has gone absolutely nowhere. I know why, and when I've got time, I will go back and fix it. But right now, I'm working on another paranormal book set in Yorkshire.
Okay. Are you writing full-time, Kryssie?
Well, I'm retired, so I would like to say I write full-time, but I have too much fun doing other things. So I go out to breakfast with friends twice a week. We go out for meals together. We do a lot of pub quizzes. We go to a disco at a pub one night a week. And in between that and a U3A canasta club, I managed to fit some writing in.
Brilliant. What's your favourite genre out of the lot then?
Oh, vampire romance every time.
Excellent.
I find werewolf romance easier to write, but I do like vampires just because they're dark and mysterious. And then there's always that bite, and gosh, it has to be sexy.
Don't know what to say to that.
No.
You know, I have that effect on people. We go out with friends and they go, oh my God, you can't say that. And I think, oh, I just did.
That's like an unspoken part of the traditional vampire films, the sexual element to it. You know, somebody absorbing your bodily fluids. You know, it can be interpreted different ways.
Yeah. So you with is it Stormy Night Publications now?
Yes, best move I ever made.
So
I started with Loose ID, and they were amazing. And they didn't go bankrupt, but they went out of business because they said they couldn't compete with Amazon, which is fair enough. And they were the most fair people I've ever come across. They gave every author their rights back when they could have sold them on and made quite a bit of money. But they wanted to play fair by everyone. which is why a lot of my books look like they're self-published, but actually they're edited by them.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Then I went to an English company, but English romance is not paranormal romance. It just doesn't take off. Whereas in the States, it sells very well.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm going to have to switch this up. And I moved to Stormy Night after a friend recommended them. And they are brilliant. They've got the best editors because they listen. They've got a really good system going, but they don't like you to pick your book title. They'll always change it for you. And you know what? Theirs are better than mine. So
okay,
I'm not
fair
going to
enough.
complain.
But did when you say you moved to Stormy Night, did you have to pitch to them, or did they approach you
Oh
once?
no, I pitched it to them.
And they picked you up straight away.
They did, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Excellent.
Each time I send them a book, I always have to cross my fingers and hope.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm never that cocky that I think, oh God, they're going to publish it. Because they might not. I might have, it might all go wrong in one.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. You've got to do that, haven't you? You've got to hope. I mean, if you were so blasé about it, that's no good being like that, is it?
About it, it's not good. You've got to care about what you write. And it
stop-
took me a long time, about 8 drafts to finish a book. I'm not as bad as Stephen King that gets up to 30, but I'm still pretty obsessive when I'm trying to sort it out.
Yeah, and Stormy Night are publishers of like BDSM and kink as well, obviously. They specialize in that. Yeah, yeah.
It's almost exclusively BDSM and kink.
Well, I suppose at least you know where you're going with them. You know exactly what they're after, so you write and pitch it to them.
And each book comes with a warning, although I've had a couple of reviews where people have clearly not read the warning and they've put too much sex. Not a bad review, is it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Oh, Kryssie, I think I mentioned to you in one of our chats on Twitter that we chatted recently with the American writer Delta James, who writes a similar genre, paranormal, hot, raunchy romances. She was telling us when she started off writing the raunchy side of the novels, she was sort of hiding her identity. But after a couple of them became successful, she thought, "So I don't care," and she'll happily chat, for a week with you.
Which is lovely. I mean, Delta started about the same time as me and writing for Stormy Night about the same time as me. And we do swap promo on books sometimes, which is lovely. And she comes across as such a nice person.
She is, yeah.
She is, yeah.
So, yeah, I think most writers are. I always worried there'd be a bit of competition, but it's not. It's very healthy. Everybody wants to do well, but they all will look out for and help each other, which is a fabulous way to be.
Yeah. Did you, I mean, something I asked Delta about, actually, speaking to her. I mean, as you heard from Terry there, she changed her identity originally and all that, because, she did have some trouble with stalkers or weirdos that come onto you because of what you're writing. Yeah. Do you find you have trouble with that? You get people coming onto you thinking, aye.
My boss at work asked me if I was a swinger.
That's what I mean.
I'm not.
That's exactly what I mean, and that's your boss at work. So,
no, I've never had problems that way. I had to use a pen name because my daughter's a head teacher, and she said, "Mum, if it comes out that you've written that, it doesn't look well on me."
No, that's fair enough. Yeah.
So hence Kryssie Fortune instead of Carol Taylor.
Okay.
No, I understand that totally. We had another author a while ago, didn't we, Terry? That
from Liverpool,
she didn't even let us see her on screen. Yeah. She used an animated
avatar,
figure.
A cat. It was also a cat.
Oh right, fair enough. It wasn't this
really didn't want,
was it?
Yeah, she really didn't want her identity out there whatsoever, because of fear of that. And I suppose it's each to their own, isn't it? Yeah.
I went to a writers' conference. And you could have a special badge that said you didn't want to be photographed because it was all erotic romance writers.
Oh.
And I'm still in touch with a couple of the people I met there. In fact, you'd be amazed how many erotic romance writers live in Yorkshire. But one particular writer from the States, no way would she have her picture taken. She said it would have cost her a job if it came out what she wrote, which is a shame because, I'm not ashamed of what I write. I just use a different name. Well, also, I've got a very boring, ordinary name. I think the mum had no imagination. I was born at Christmas and got stuck with Carol.
Oh, Kryssie, can I ask you again, mention the fact that you've got a prolific writer. These 18 titles, they look like they were all published between 2016 and 2021. How quick can you get a new book out there?
Oh, I'm slow.
Yeah?
Yeah, it takes me nearly a year. Sometimes I'll have an idea and play with it for a long while while I'm writing another book. And this one that I'm just finishing up, I've got 2 other books in mind I want to write.
Yeah.
And I'm just working out which characters do what to who and how it all goes into detail. But no, I've been writing. My first book, I think, was published in 2010, and I wrote quite a few for Loose ID.
Yeah.
And then I've had nothing published since lockdown. I kind of fell apart.
Right,
my husband was one of the first people to get COVID, and it scared me to death.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't concentrate for about 2 years.
Yeah. Look, just on the surface,
and I'm back writing.
Yeah, on the surface of it, it looked like you'd done 19 books in 6 years.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I thought.
That was like, wow.
I wish I were that good.
No, you'd have to be a miracle worker, I think, to do it that quick. Or you'd be writing continuously, like for 10, 12 hours a day or more.
So I write for pleasure, and if it ever becomes a chore, I'll stop.
Yeah.
But it's a joy.
Kryssie, can I ask you about your ambitions as a writer? With having so many titles out there, and they sound to me like they don't make great films or television projects.
Well,
have you had the approaches? Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure what channel would show them, and they'd certainly be X-rated films.
See them on Netflix.
When I retired, I worked on a TV soap in a very, very low position because I always used to work in accounts, and I ended up there when everything crashed in 2008. So I've got a bit of an insight into how things are made for TV.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think mine would be on anything except some piece of, is it Skinny Max they have in the States? They might do on there.
Skinny Max?
I don't know. One of the writers I used to enjoy, Kryssie Cole, she mentions it a lot, and I don't know whether she's made it up or it's real.
I've never heard of it.
No, not sure.
No.
And it might just be her slang term for something.
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
But they're certainly not BBC material.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So that limits your audience a little bit, doesn't it, I suppose?
Yeah,
Shucks.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Kryssie, you mentioned that you've got series of novels, but they're all standalone. Do you create like a Bible for the characters and the places and the locations and the times? Yeah.
Everything's on Excel.
Okay.
Including, I start with chapter lengths.
Yeah.
I've got another tab that I put the characters' names and things about them. I've got a tab for blogs I might write about them.
Yeah.
And I've got another book. What's the other page? I can't remember what the other page is, but I just refer to it every time. And each book has one like that. Loose ID used to send me a Bible, almost, of facts about each book, and it just got to be a habit to keep it up, I think.
Okay.
Good way to do it, isn't it? So you can keep track of who you're writing about and make sure make sure you're consistent more than anything.
Well, that's it. Certainly the Regencies, all 3 men in it knew each other, so they had to be keep the facts straight. And the same with my soldiers, they all would know each other because it was a small town. So again, I had to keep every fact straight, but I had to work out the backstory of the 3rd one before I could write the 1st one.
Okay, so you must have a fairly vivid imagination. So where do you get your stories and your characters from? Is it just come up in your head, or?
Yeah, basically. People have asked me this, and I don't know where I get them from. And there's people who plan everything, and me, I make it up as I go along.
Oh,
brilliant.
It's wrong, but
you're a pantser, not a plotter.
Definitely a pantser.
Yeah. Good.
I think the best description I once saw was a series of islands you can swim to. And that's what I have, little things that I know should happen.
Yeah.
And once I get to them, I work out how to get to the next one.
That's a great way of thinking.
That's a decent analogy we probably haven't heard about before like that, have we, Terry?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Not mine. That's one I read somewhere.
I like it.
It works.
Okay. Yeah.
So how many what's when you're writing then? So do you have a set room you set aside, and do you have a strict amount of words you'd like to do a day, or do you just write as and when you feel like it? Like you said, you're not full time because you're in and out and about and enjoying your life. So when do you fit your writing in?
Yeah. I saw a quote from Einstein last week that said, it's like riding a bike. If you stop going forward, you'll fall off. So I do a little bit each day. Some days, like yesterday, I did an awful lot. Today, when I was fighting the technology to get a Zoom meeting set up, I did very little.
We're here now. Oh, you fixed it.
Yes, thanks to you, Mike. No, Terry, sorry.
That's no problem, George. Kryssie, have you got a favourite title amongst all the books, or one that's particularly the bestseller? Sorry.
Well, His Innocent Bride was my bestseller.
Yeah.
It made the Amazon top 100 overall, so I was really excited about that. I mean, my ambition is to get in the top 10, but top 100 is a good start. But I liked it for another reason. It's the character names all come from the streets where I used to live as a child.
Wow.
The character's named James after my dad. He'd die. Well, actually he wouldn't because he already is. But he'd die if he knew I used him as a hero in a raunchy book. But it's all got little intimate connections that don't really mean anything to me. They don't get in the way of the story. There's just little bits that I would have had to make up. So I use things that I was familiar with.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I usually have something I'm familiar with in a story or a place I've been that's inspired me. That scene doesn't always make it into the book. I started one of them thinking about a place I used to play as a child that had supposedly a secret tunnel to the middle of Leeds where we lived.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, what if? And I had this heroine find it, and that didn't even make the book, but the book grew from that one scene.
Yeah.
You were saying earlier on about your publisher changing your titles and things like that. Doesn't that disappoint you and really anger you at all?
No, they know the market better than me. That's what I've got them there for. It's like saying, why would you like somebody editing your book? Loose ID also write the blurb, which is the world's biggest release. Ask any writer, they hate
totally agree.
The blurb. Yeah. But they've just got a knack of writing something that sells and sells well.
Yeah. But it's something I haven't really asked any other authors before about. They have working titles and it ends up getting changed by the publisher. And I've never really asked anyone how they feel about that. So you're probably the first. So that's why I wanted to just.
I'm glad I'm the first with something. It honestly doesn't bother me. I think I'd be more bothered if they didn't care enough to do it with them. Other people have always said, oh, write your title and your blurb, other publishers. But they care in every detail because they want your sales as well. Obviously, it's their livelihood too.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. I've heard a few writers saying that as well on Twitter, that they find the blurb harder to write than the actual novel.
Yes.
And what a lot of people suggest is having a look at a wiki page of a description of a film or another famous novel. It gives it that sort of objective, brief summation of the essence of the work. But it's very difficult. Yeah. If you're on top of it, you've lived with this, your baby, you've given birth to this novel. It's difficult for you to stand back and look at it, through the other end of a lens.
No, your kids are grown up and gone. It doesn't mean I don't love them anymore, but they don't live with me like they did when they were my babies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love each book I've written. Otherwise, I wouldn't have tried to get it published. But it's in the past. It's grown, and that's it. I don't know all the details of marketing. If I did, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
True enough. Yeah.
Do you spend much time on research of the novels? Yes. Are they all set in the current period now?
I spend ages on the research.
Yeah.
Because I think if you don't get the little details right, the rest of it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I don't always get it right. Some people have said my Regencies aren't what they wanted, but then maybe they expected Georgette here. I don't know. And I'm certainly not Georgette here. I wish I was. Look at sales. But no, I'm me. And this is going to have to take my writing if they're buying my book. And oh God, that sounded really arrogant, and I don't mean it.
No.
But it comes with a warning. If you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's fair enough. If someone was comes up to you and says, "Look, I'm new into this writing game. tell me out what's the best advice you can give me as a new writer? What would you suggest to them?
Easy. Don't give up. The more you write, the better you get. And everybody learns. Never think you know it, because you just don't.
Okay, that's a fair comment.
Yeah,
Did you find you benefited from, and you went to, I know you went with this, or your husband signed you up for this writing, was it a writing course or whatever it was? Did you find that benefited you, even though you were like, well, I shouldn't need that, I know how to write?
Well, I wasn't really like I shouldn't need that. I was, do I think it's a waste of money and a rip-off?
Yeah, yeah.
And it really, really wasn't. I was so lucky. No, I think I did benefit from it, because it taught me to write to a market. And if you don't know who you're writing for, it could go anywhere. So you've got to have in mind your audience all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I took from it.
Okay. Kryssie, final question from me. Where can people get your books? Is Amazon the best place to go?
Yes, because they're all on Kindle Unlimited. So if they've got that, they're all free to read.
Okay.
Apart from 2, which is still with an English publisher, and they charge for them. They don't seem to do Kindle Unlimited. So at some point, I'll get them back and put them on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I think time's caught up with us, Kryssie. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
It's been a joy. I've really enjoyed it. I could talk to you forever.
Good. Well, let's book another one in the near future.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. We are, yeah. Let's keep in touch, Kryssie, as we have been doing, yeah.
Yes, please. Be great.
Good. All right, but for now, thanks, Kryssie. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Bye.